Ethan Miller used to think he had control over his life. On paper, everything looked fine. A decent job at a marketing firm in Chicago, a small apartment downtown, and a girlfriend who cared about him. But deep down, Ethan knew something was off. Every day felt like a replay of the last. Wake up, rush to work, survive meetings, scroll endlessly on his phone, fall asleep exhausted, and repeat. He wasn't living. He was existing. He didn't realize it yet, but his life was being controlled by everything outside of him: emotions, distractions, people, and circumstances. The moment life pushed him even slightly, he'd lose balance. It all came crashing down one Thursday morning in February. Ethan was late for work. Again. The subway had broken down halfway, and when he finally arrived, his boss, Mr. Carter, was waiting with that familiar disappointed look. "Ethan, this can't keep happening," his boss said, arms crossed. "You're talented, but talent doesn't matter if you can't control yourself." Ethan wanted to argue, to explain the train delay, the bad luck, the stress, but instead, he just nodded. That day, he got written up. And by the evening, his girlfriend, Rachel, decided she'd had enough of his constant negativity and lack of direction. "You keep saying you'll change," she said softly, standing at his apartment door, "but you never do." When the door closed behind her, silence filled the room, that heavy silence that makes your thoughts louder. Ethan sat on the couch, staring at the blank TV screen, and whispered to himself, "What am I even doing?" That night, scrolling through his phone in frustration, Ethan came across a short video titled, "Control These 5 Things, and You'll Control Your Life." It was only 2 minutes long, but those words hit differently. He replayed it 5 times, letting each line sink in. Control your emotions. Control your time. Control your thoughts. Control your habits. Control your reactions. Ethan didn't sleep much that night. For the first time in years, something inside him stirred. Not anger, not sadness, but a quiet kind of determination. He wrote those 5 lines on a sticky note and stuck it to his bathroom mirror. That became his starting point. Control number 1. Emotions. The next morning, Ethan woke up late again. His alarm had gone off, but he'd snoozed it 3 times. Normally, that would have triggered a spiral, frustration, self-blame, and a ruined day before it even started. But today, he caught himself. "Control your emotions," he murmured. He took a deep breath, made coffee, and instead of rushing, he calmly planned the day. At work, his boss assigned him a tough client, the kind of client who finds fault in everything. Halfway through the meeting, the client snapped, "This campaign is useless. Do you even understand our brand?" Ethan felt heat rise in his chest. The old him would have argued or shut down completely. But he remembered the sticky note. Control your emotions. He paused, listened, and then said, "I understand your frustration. Let's fix this together." That simple shift turned the entire meeting around. When it ended, Mr. Carter patted him on the back. "That was the most composed I've seen you, Ethan." That night, Ethan realized something powerful: emotions are like waves. You can't stop them from coming, but you can choose which ones to surf. Control number 2. Time. For years, Ethan had treated time like an enemy, always racing against it, always feeling behind. But he started to see it differently. He began waking up early, just 30 minutes at first. He'd make coffee, stretch, and journal about what he wanted to focus on that day. At first, it felt useless. But a week in, something changed. He noticed how those quiet mornings set the tone for everything that followed. He started tracking where his hours went: social media, useless meetings, long commutes, and cut away what didn't serve him. Instead of, "I don't have time," he began saying, "It's not a priority." That small shift changed everything. He had time to learn new marketing tools, time to read, even time to reconnect with old friends. The more he respected time, the more it seemed to expand for him. He began feeling lighter, more in control, like he was finally steering the ship of his own life. Control number 3. Thoughts. Ethan's mind used to be his worst enemy. Whenever he failed, he'd replay the mistakes endlessly. "You're not good enough," that voice would whisper. But one afternoon, sitting in a cafe, he heard a woman at the next table tell her friend, "Don't believe everything you think." That line hit him harder than he expected. He started paying attention to his inner dialogue. Every time a negative thought appeared, he countered it with a factual one. "I'm terrible at this," became, "I'm learning to get better at this." "Everyone's ahead of me," became, "Everyone's running their own race." It wasn't about blind positivity, it was about balance. Slowly, his thoughts became less destructive and more constructive. The world hadn't changed, but his lens had. And through that clearer lens, life didn't seem so overwhelming anymore. Control number 4. Habits. Ethan realized that change doesn't come from big decisions, it comes from small habits repeated daily. He began tracking his routines. He quit using his phone for the first hour after waking up. He started reading 10 pages of a book every night. He replaced scrolling through social media with writing down goals for the next day. After a month, he noticed something strange. He didn't have to force motivation anymore. The habits were doing the work for him. One evening, when his friend Jason invited him out for drinks, Ethan said, "Can't tonight, I've got a project I'm working on." Jason laughed. "Man, you've changed." Ethan smiled. "Yeah, I'm trying to." By controlling his habits, Ethan realized he was controlling his future. Each choice was a brick, and he was finally building something that would last. Control number 5. Reactions. One evening, while driving home, another driver cut Ethan off and nearly caused an accident. His heart pounded, and instinctively, he wanted to honk and yell. But he stopped himself. "Control your reaction," he whispered. He turned up the radio instead and drove on. It seemed like nothing, a small, forgettable moment, but that was the real test. Life wasn't about what happened to him, but how he chose to respond. That understanding changed how he interacted with everyone, his coworkers, his family, even strangers. He became calmer, kinder, more centered. He started seeing that reactions create ripples. A calm response can end a storm before it begins. The transformation. 6 months passed. Ethan's life didn't magically become perfect, it became balanced. His boss noticed his progress and promoted him to team lead. Rachel reached out again, this time not to argue, but to say, "You've really changed." They talked for hours, and for the first time, Ethan wasn't trying to prove himself, he was just being himself. He still had bad days, of course. Days where old habits tried to creep back in. But now he had tools, his 5 anchors. Emotions, time, thoughts, habits, reactions. Every time life tested him, he returned to those 5. One evening, while walking along the Chicago River, he saw his reflection in the dark water and smiled. Not because he'd made it, but because he'd finally found himself. He realized that control wasn't about perfection or dominance, it was about awareness. You don't control life by fighting it, you control it by mastering yourself within it. Ethan's realization. A year later, Ethan started a small YouTube channel. His first video was titled exactly like the one that had once changed his life: "Control these 5 things and watch your life transform instantly." In it, he spoke from experience, not theory. He said, "If you can control your emotions, the world can't manipulate you. If you can control your time, distractions can't waste you. If you can control your thoughts, fear can't stop you. If you can control your habits, failure can't define you. And if you can control your reactions, life can't break you." The video didn't go viral immediately, but those who watched it left comments like, "This is exactly what I needed." That was enough for him. Ethan didn't want fame anymore. He wanted meaning. And in chasing control of himself, he found both peace and purpose. Months later, as he looked at his reflection again, Ethan thought of how it all began: a broken subway, a failed relationship, and a single quote on a glowing screen. Funny how life works. Sometimes you have to lose control to realize what's truly worth mastering. He smiled, took a deep breath, and whispered to himself, "I'm not trying to control life anymore, I'm just learning to dance with it." And that, right there, was the moment Ethan's transformation was complete. Not because he had everything figured out, but because he had finally learned what to focus on. His story became proof that transformation isn't a miracle. It's a process, one that begins the moment you decide to control the only 5 things that ever truly mattered.